Hello and welcome to Edupedia World. It's now time that we take a look at these operations, the Boolean and the symmetry. So these are actually pretty self-explaining, or only one of them are actually. Let's try and add symmetry. So click, drag and let go, and we get this invisible thing. It's called symmetry, and we'll only be able to see what it does when we add some objects. So take a cube, scale it, move it to the side, and as you can see right now we've got the symmetry and we've got the cube. So right now they are not connected, and that's because symmetry works in a certain way that it takes everything that's inside, or that is like a child of the symmetry, and then it symmetrifies it through some kind of plane. So if I take this cube and drag it under the symmetry, then you'll see it does symmetry. So I can take this cube, move it, and the other one will follow. If we look at symmetry, it has been said to use the mirror plane CY, and that means it's you can see there's a plane with the Y and the C channel, sorry, the C and Y axis. That means it's going to be this plane. It's going to be doing symmetry like over this plane. If we can change that so that it does symmetry over C and Y. That didn't change anything, and we changed it from, sorry, well I choose the same one, X and C. Let's try and see what that does. So it's doing symmetry on this axis and this axis. That means if we just add the plane, that's going to be here, and since the box is perfectly in the middle of that, you won't be able to see it. But if we move this up, you can see how it's working. I can move them around. If I do this, you can see I took this object and control dragged it. It's not being symmetrified, or there's no symmetry object, and that's because we've got two objects in one symmetry. And symmetry can only act on one object. So how can we get these two objects to get symmetry? Well, just select both of them like this, Control G to add them into a null, and that means they're actually just, the symmetry is actually just acting on one object, which is this null. Even though the null is containing two objects, the symmetry is only seeing one object. And that's why it's able to do this. I can then take the null, move that around. I can even rotate it. And the symmetry modifier will just do its work. What if we were to add another symmetry and add the first symmetry into that other symmetry? Then we get something like this. Whoa. Cube inception. And you can see this way you can create some pretty cool designs. I don't know if this is cool, but it's made up from just two cubes and then some symmetry. And you can see these two cubes that are just beside each other could also have been made with this symmetry. So that's basically a cool way that you can use symmetry objects. Now let's take a look at how we can do some like cutting objects into each other. So let's just start off with this cube, press C and go into the object mode, press T, and we can start scaling this object to fit what we want. So I'll just make this kind of flat cube. Then I will take another object like a capsule. I will move it, I will rotate it, and then I will hold shift so that I can get 10-degree increments. And I will just put this around right here, move it out to the side, and then I'll press C to make that into an editable object. That means if I go into this mode, I will be able to actually take the points and move them around. Oh, sorry. So you can see everything works the same way. Every object can be turned into an editable object because they're all basically cubes, vertices, surfaces, and edges. So now that this capsule is an editable object, I can do T and I can scale it on this direction. So some of you may be getting where I'm going with this. What I want to do is I actually want to take this object and then I want to do some kind of 3D math where I say okay, this object minus this object, and what that will give me is an object that has this object like cut out into it. So that's what a Boolean object, and you can actually see right here we've got a green sphere and a white sphere, and they're like cutting into each other, and the white sphere is disappearing. So I'll just add one of those. Then I will add my cube and my capsule. They actually have to be in the other order. And if we go back to garage shading, then we will be able to see that right now we have actually just got a cube and this capsule has been cut out of it. So that can be used to create some pretty interesting shapes. This could be, I just looked at it and thought, well, if we do like this, sorry, let's just, I will deselect, remove the, if we press this, I will deactivate the Boolean. I'll take this cube and then I will scale it like this, put it roughly in the middle. I'll actually take the, what is it, the Y coordinate for this capsule and put that into here. Nope, sorry. Since these objects are rotated, the axes are pretty confusing, but the thing is I want this to be roughly in the middle, and I think it is right now. I'll then reactivate the Boolean and I'll take this cube and do like this, like this. Maybe take the capsule, scale it in a bit, and right now I've got a really cool sync in my opinion. Imagine this. I can turn off the grid and we can see this much nicer. In my opinion, this is a pretty cool sync. You can add like a you could add the water thing, I don't know what it's called in English, and then you could start doing cool interior design. This is very modern in my opinion. I really like this. So let's just delete this cube. That was just to make it look like a sink. And let's try and go into the bool settings. So this Boolean object has some different options. So you can see Boolean type is A subtract B, and as you can see under Boolean it has got two objects. The symmetry could only take one object, but this can take A and B, and it needs A and B in order to do its thing. So we can do other stuff like A union B. If we do that, then we will get an object that is this cube and this capsule in one. so it won't look any different than just the two objects for themselves, but this way they are one object. We had it set to A subtract B. You can also do A intersect B. Please try and make a guess about what the A intersect B will be. Intersect. That will be the point where A is like equal to B. And then A without B, that is, instead of, as you saw right here, they subtracted, there was the surface from the capsule was like added to the cube and filled out this hole. If we do A without B, then it's basically cutting a hole. Let's try and take a look at the geometry. As you can see here, it's making a lot of lines so that it can get this curved shape. And that's something that we will be learning later on, that this type of geometry is actually terrible. I'll just tell you this is, if you look at this from a geometry point of view, then this is terrible geometry, because you want only cubes, or as we call them, quads, and here there's a billion triangles, and if you wanted to add some detail in here, it would be a nightmare. So we will also be learning how we can make nicer geometry, because this is, as I said, terrible in the terms of geometry. So let's just go back to our sync design right here, and you can see there's a lot of different options, but the most important thing is that we are able to take two objects and then either subtract them from each other, or intersect them, or what was the last thing? Union and without. So this is some pretty powerful tools that you have.
Thank you for watching Edupedia World. Stay tuned for more videos.